We just left off having made our Monopoly house and changed some of its instance properties like the width and the rotation, the location. Now we're going to change the color effect. To do that, let's go ahead and hide the library now. I'm going to imagine that I want to make a hotel. So with my symbol instance selected, I can come up here to Properties and down to Color Effect, and we were going to choose Tint. You see we have option of Brightness, Tint, Advanced, and Alpha. We're going to start with Tint and see how to use some of these other things. Now, it already has this red selected because that's what I last had selected when I was prepping for the lecture. And you can see that it's done something kind of weird. I've got my hotel color, right? But it's totally red. I don't see my windows anymore. That's because my tint is at 100%. That means it's like covering it with a theater gel or something that's 100% red. Can't see through it. If I were to move my tint down, you would see, hey, now we can see the doors and stuff, but ew, that green and the red, actually I kind of like that color, but that's certainly not Monopoly hotel color. There are some ways to get around this. One would be, how about we come here down to, actually let's choose none, and instead come down here to Advanced. And what Advanced allows us to do is change the red, the green, and the blue percentages. Plus it also allows us to change what we call the offsets. And this doesn't make a lot of sense until you start to understand more about color, which we're going to talk about as we go on. But basically, your red, green, and blue color values each have numbers assigned to them. These numbers go from 0 to 255. An offset is like adding to or subtracting from one of these color values. And look at this. I am adding to and subtracting from this color value and seeing very little happen to the green. I do see something happen to the black, though. The reason for that is green has very little red in it. So adding or subtracting from the red doesn't do much. The black does, so we're seeing a change there. I'm just pointing this out because this is one way to change your colors. And it is one way that, as you get clever with building your symbols, can actually give you a lot of options and cool stuff you can do. However, we're not very clever yet, and it's not going to work for us the way we've built this symbol, so we're not going to do it. Instead, we're going to choose none, and what we're going to do is see how to make a duplicate symbol and how to make that into our red hotel. So instead, what we'll do here, and you're going to find yourself doing this a lot, the idea is I want to start with this symbol and then manipulate it, change it so that it can be a hotel symbol. Okay. So let's open up our library. The way we make a duplicate symbol is by coming to this, selecting your symbol in Monopoly House. I can right-click it and choose Duplicate, or that's available in the panel menu as well. This brings up the duplicate symbol dialog box, which is very much like a new symbol dialog. I'm going to rename this Monopoly Hotel. Hotel. Leave it as a graphic. Oh, you know what? We can close up that Advanced there as well. That's for action scripters. And click OK. Now, these things are exactly the same right now. Let's go in and change our hotel for now. We'll go ahead and do this by double-clicking in the Properties panel, or in the library. I'm going to select my green color, and hey, guess what? I did have that red loaded in by default, but it's not in my swatches, so we're going to have to make one. Okay, let's do this. Let's go ahead and crank up our hue, saturation, and brightness to 100. Now we can change our hue until we get over to our red. Yikes. Pretty red. Let's go ahead and turn its brightness down a bit because that's kind of, how about like that? Okay. Go over to our swatches and add it. And like I say, this is a rogue color. This is a color that's not part of our initial harmonious color set. So I'm just going to remember that, and maybe I'm only going to use it when I want something to have a lot of emphasis. Okay, there's my hotel. Now, I'm going to make believe that in Monopoly, houses and hotels are the same size, because we don't want to have to deal with that. But we could. We could change the size of this artwork. But you don't want to watch me do that. Instead, what we're going to do is come back to scene 1. You're going to say, hey, where's my hotel? Well, we duplicated this symbol. We didn't replace it. However, what we can do now is select any symbol instance on the stage, come up here and see it's an instance of Monopoly House. There's a button called Swap here. And what this will do is allow us to swap the blueprint that this symbol instance is made from, while keeping specific things like the location properties, the X and the Y coordinates. So I'm going to simply choose Monopoly Hotel. I double-clicked it, and that switched it. If you're working in previous versions of Flash, 6 or before, you can't double-click it. You have to select it and choose OK. I just didn't know that was going to work until I tried it. Okay, so now we have instance of Monopoly Hotel. So we've swapped. You're going to find this can come in very, very handy. Let's do it to this one too. I'm going to swap it. Monopoly Hotel. This is the way you'd be doing it with an earlier version of Flash. You select it and click OK. And look at that. It kept the location properties. It also kept that width property. Now, if we wanted to go back and change the hotel symbol blueprint, we could do that, and they would all change on stage. Okay, this is your introduction to very simple symbols. You can notice that these symbols, this one particularly, just has one layer, and it just has some shapes on it. In the next movie, we are going to look at adding some animation, adding some frames to the timeline of a graphic symbol.